What's up? Welcome to this video where it's gaming in the background and it's me just talking about life, about the things that I want to change about my life, and for the first time ever really taking action to change those things. Now, the last time there were two specific things that I wrote down that I really wanted to work on. First was everything that I discover on this channel, everything that I think about. I want to write that down in a book so that I always have it with me, so that I can check it, and so that I won't forget it, basically, so that I can keep doing it over and over instead of it fading from my memory and fading away, thus not helping at all. And the second thing that I wanted to do is to start planning in the hours that I want to be working on, specifically this project. I mean, this project is basically, it's about changing my life. This project encompasses everything that I want to change about it, so if I want to spend time on anything, why not spend it on that? So yeah, 2 hours a week spending it on that and writing everything down in the book. Those were the two main things from the last video, and to be honest, in the beginning I didn't do any of that. Of course I didn't. No, I wrote it down. It was very I was going to do this, but then I didn't, and then last week I decided, you know what, if I want to start working on this, I have to start putting in the work. I have to do this. So I watched the last two videos. I wrote everything down in the book, so I have it right here on the desk. All the important details, I've written it down in here. I'm going to do the same for everything from this video. And the hours from this week, it's now Monday, so the hours that I want to work on the project this week, I've written them down. They're specific. On this day, on that time, I want to spend 1 hour on it. So we'll see how that goes this week. So yeah, not the perfect beginning, but still it's sort of starting to come together now. I think the most important thing is that we're normally, as I've said before, I am a perfectionist, so normally what I would have done is I would have said, oh, I wanted to do this that first week. I wanted to write everything down, and I didn't do it, so I failed. So I would stop it, right? I would say, I didn't do it. I wanted to do it then. I didn't do it, so I failed. So it's done. And what I'm doing now is saying basically the same thing in the beginning, pretty much. I didn't do it back then. I wanted to do it, but I didn't do it. But instead of saying I failed, I'm done, I say I'm going to do it now. I'm still going to do it. It's later than I wanted to, but I'm still going to do it. And I'm not going to stop it entirely. So I think that's one of the more important steps that I have to keep taking over and over. Even if I want to do something and I don't do it right away, which, let's be honest, it's probably going to be quite often that I say, oh, I'm going to do this, and then I'm not going to do it. Not the week after, maybe later. So it's going to happen more often, and just the important thing for me is to just, even if I don't do it right away, even if I do it much later, I still have to do it. I can't quit this project. So that's one important thing from the final video. And another thing that I wanted to talk about is the project in general. It's something that I'm figuring out this project as I go along. So it's very unstructured, which is especially difficult for me. I love things that are very structured, and this isn't structured at all. So I'm figuring it out as I go along, and one thing I figured out is that so far in these videos, I'm trying for these videos for them to be not just about me, but about you as well, where you can listen to the videos and think, oh, this applies to me as well. This is something that I can apply to my own life. So these are videos, they're about me, but you can use everything that's said in these videos. And that was sort of the starting goal. And what I realized is that I'm trying very hard in these videos to be not to be selfish at all, like not to talk about specific things in my life that won't be able to help you. So something very specific in my life is about my thesis. That is the thing that I have to work on. But if I find out something that really helps me working on my thesis, that's not going to be very helpful to you, right? Because it's such a specific topic. But I also realized that if I don't address those things in these videos, then I'm not really helping myself, right? Which is the entire goal of this project, is to to grow, to become better in all of this. So what I decided to do is I'm still going to do those general things that are applicable to pretty much everyone, that everyone can use, that everyone can apply to their own life. I still want to keep those things in, but I'm also going to talk about things that are very specific to my own life. So those might not be very helpful to you. That's why I'm going to put them at the end of the videos instead of the beginning, so you can just listen to the beginning. If you think he's rambling on about his own life, you can stop the video there and just do whatever the hell you want. But I am going to talk about those things in the videos from now on. It's just something that I wanted to clear up going forward. As I said, I'm figuring this out as I go along, so from now on that's going to be in there. I wanted to address it, and I have. So that's sort of that's sort of the introduction. It's a bit of a longer introduction than the previous videos, but that's everything that I wanted to say about that. Right now there's two things in this video that I want to talk about, that I want to start taking action in. And the first thing, it has to do with sleep patterns. Now, I've been watching a lot of videos about just this might seem very familiar to you, where you're just on YouTube or anything else and you're just watching these motivational videos, right? It's about a lot of the people who made it, and they make these videos like, oh, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do. And usually you have to take it with a grain of salt, but there are a lot of things in there that are very much true and that you can apply to your own life. The difficult part for me was always they use these very things like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this, and I would listen to that and I'd think like, I have to do that too. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna change my life. I'm gonna apply everything that he's said, and I'm gonna do all of that. And the difficult thing is that when you watch a video and you get that feeling, your heart starts pumping. You're like, I'm gonna change everything, but you don't really know how. So you're like, I'm gonna do it, but you don't know how to do it. And that's why I want to tackle. I'm going to watch these videos a lot more because there's so much information in them. But instead of just saying, oh, this is what I want to change, I want to be very specific in how I'm going to change this from now on. So one of the things that came back in a lot of different videos was about sleep patterns. And sleep patterns is basically when do you go to sleep and when do you wake up. And why is this so important? Well, because your body, it sort of lives on routine. It thrives on routine. If you go to bed at a different time every day, if you wake up at a different time every day, it's very difficult for your body to adjust. And if you go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, your body knows exactly when it has to start powering down and when it has to power up, and you'll have a lot more energy during the rest of the day, because your body is just prepared for everything that's going to come. So say you have to wake up at 7 a.m. every day, your body is starting to wake up, just before 7 a.m. And when that time comes, you'll be awake. And what I did during a lot of my school period, and this is something that again is probably going to be very familiar to a lot of students, throughout my entire school period, I would just either I wouldn't set an alarm clock, I would just wake up by myself, and it would be around 11 a.m., 10 or 11 a.m., which is such a fucking shame, because you've missed the entire morning. It's just gone. You can't do anything. You have to wake up. You wake up even worse than when you wake up at, say, around 8 a.m. You're a lot more tired when you wake up at 11 a.m. than when you wake up at 8 a.m. Your entire morning is gone, and you would always, for the rest of the day, you would just be like, I'm tired, I'm just not feeling it today. And the same with going to bed. Like, it wasn't that I was going to bed at a certain time at all. I think one day you'd go to bed at around 11 p.m. and then the next day you'd go to bed at around 2 or 3 a.m., right? So that's a difference of 3 to 4 hours. It's so much. So instead of what you sort of do is you create a disadvantage for yourself in starting the day. And that's something that I've I have been doing this for, I think, my entire life. Maybe not in preschool or whatever, in like elementary school, stuff like that, where you had to get up every day at the same time. But since then, from the moment on that I could choose my own bedtimes, I've pretty much fucked this up right at the beginning. And I'm slowly now starting to learn that no, it's a lot better to have a routine in this. So that is specifically what I want to start working on, because I've heard this tip so many times before and I've never really taken action on it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's very clever. I have to do that. But then I never did. So what I want to do now is simply put, just start doing it. Start going to bed at a certain time, start waking up at a certain time, and do that every day. At least throughout the week, like Monday until Friday. So yeah, I'm giving about 70%, so to speak. I don't dare to do the weekend just yet because I'm still in my student year. So Saturday, for example, is always a day for me that gets quite late with friends and stuff, and I'm not willing to give that up just yet. And I think one day can be forgiven. So at about 6 days, what I want to do specifically is to, let me think. What I'm aiming for right now is just to go to bed, to go to sleep at 11:30, or just sort of to start powering down at 11 p.m. Just no more electronics, trying to avoid electronics from that point on as much as possible, because electronics, you have a screen blasting in your face, so of course your brain is going to think you have to be wide awake. There's, especially with things like a laptop where you just have a white screen full of light, or a phone in your bed just shining in your face all the time. Of course your brain is going to think that it's still daylight, or at least that triggers the part of your brain. It doesn't trigger the part that's like, oh yeah, we have to go to sleep now, right? Because there's a light shining in your face all the time. So from 11 p.m. starting to power down electronics a lot more. Just, those final 30 minutes, just read a book or something. Something that I love to do, but I never really find the time for. So yeah, close off all electronics at 11 p.m., read a book or whatever until 11:30, and then I want to go to sleep and then wake up at 7:30 a.m. every time. No snoozing, because again, it's been proven so many times that snoozing is so bad for you. So no snoozing. So yeah, 11:30 until 7:30, trying to keep those times throughout the week. Just throughout the week, keep those times, and especially just see the effects that it has on me, because I don't know what it feels like to have certain times to go to bed and to wake up throughout the entire week. I have no idea what that feels like. That must have been over 10 years ago, a lot more probably. So I want to introduce that back into my life and really be really trying to be very strict with this, right? Because I just told you that the last thing I did was just to plan in the 2 hours a week that I want to start working on this project, and even that I couldn't get that done. So this might take a lot of tries. It's probably not going to be perfect the first week. Very, very likely that it's not going to work the first week. But just to get back at what I said in the beginning of the video, just keep trying to do this and not stop this, right? So I might have a week where I managed to do this 2 days or 3 days or whatever. Don't see that as a failure. Just keep going. Like, I managed 2 or 3 days. I'm going to try 4 days next week. I'm going to keep trying to introduce this in my life. And it might not be perfect the first week, but I think, or I know that if I really commit to this, I could get this down within a few weeks, right? So that is what I personally am going to change, and it's something that I would advise to you as well. See, if you're listening to this video right now and you're thinking, oh yeah, I know this works, this sounds very clever. What I want you to do, I don't want you to just listen to this video and think, oh, that's very clever, and then never apply this to your own life, right? That's the same mistake that I've been making for these past 15 years. So what I want you to do is just to grab a piece of paper and just figure out what is the time for me that I want to go to bed, right? What is the time for me? Just think about that right now. And again, think about what is the time that's best for me to wake up. What is possible for me within my schedule? And then just set a time. Just write them down right now and just try it out, Try it out for a few weeks. See if you can get multiple days in a row of that going. Because it takes about 3 days in a row, I think, for your body's clock to adjust to that. So try that out and write those times down right now, and it'll help you so much in applying this to your own life. It really does. And you can set an alarm in your cell phone. Just set an alarm in there, like at this time. Oh, you have to go to bed now, right? Things like that. It's the practical tips that are going to help you to apply this. And I'm going to do the same in my phone right now. I'm gonna, or as soon as I'm done talking, I'm gonna put an alarm in my phone like this at 11 p.m. Like this is the time. Power everything down and get ready for bed, right? Okay, so that's what I wanted to do. I spent more time talking on this than I had originally planned, but it's important. It's interesting. So that is the first part, and the second part I can be really brief about. This is the part that's specific to me. So if you don't care about that, feel free to just click away. What I know, I'm working on my thesis right now, and what I know, since I'm a perfectionist, what I try to do is just to take different parts of, let's say, the introduction, right? I have the first part is about this topic, and then the second part is about a different topic. So what I try to do so far is just write a perfect version of the first part first, and then go on to the second part and write a perfect version of that, and then go on to the third part and write a perfect version of that. And it sucked. It didn't work at all. It took a lot of time. It took way too much time to get anything done. And I talked about my sort of study guidance counselor. I think study counselor is what you could call it. And we talked about that, and she said, what a very good tip probably for me is to just, instead of writing all these different pieces separately from each other, just take the entire introduction, write a shitty version of that, and write it all in one day. Just in one day, write a shitty version of the entire introduction. And then what you can do, and it has to be shitty, right? It has to be very bad. It's not like shitty as in, oh no, you can, it has to be really good. No, it has to be fucking terrible. So write that in one day, and then the next day read it, see what is bad about this, what do I have to change, and then start changing that, and then keep doing it like that. And I know that this is it's so much better for me to work this way than to work the other way. So I wanted to address it in this video because I want to write it down in the book, because I know this really works for me. So specifically to me, write that down and use that as the way to start working. Instead of trying to get everything perfect from the beginning, just write a horrible version of the entire thing, and then start changing that, start improving that, and then you have something to work from. So yeah, that was the second thing that was specifically for me. So to recap, changing the sleep patterns, so setting an alarm for myself, like this is the time that you have to go to sleep, and then within half an hour, power down all electronics and go to sleep, and wake up the same time every day. And for myself, write a shitty version of the entire introduction instead of trying to get every different piece perfect, and then you can improve that. So yeah, that's it. Maybe the second tip helps you as well, especially if you're dealing with perfectionism as I am. It can be incredibly liberating because you're writing a shitty version, so it really doesn't have to be perfect. So if you do have perfectionism, please try that out. It's going to help you so much. And to everyone who is watching, if you are still there, thanks as always so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these tips. I hope you really did write down those things about sleep patterns if you do want to change them, because otherwise it's not going to happen. You really have to do this. For everyone else, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all again in the next video.